You get out of bed this instant
and turn it on.
Glenn, Angel, and the Flying Dutchman.
The Big Show on Kiss 92.
Good morning, Singapore. No Angel today. It's Glenn, Minister Edwin Tong, and the Flying Dutchman. Minister Edwin Tong, of course, our Minister for Culture, Community, Youth and Sports. Welcome back to the Big Show, Minister Edwin Tong.
Glad to be back here.
It's been a while since we've had you.
Sometime, yeah.
And you have been so very, very busy. How has 2024 been for you, in a nutshell?
Well, it's been a hectic year, but I would say also exciting. Able to do quite a bit on the sports front. Starting with, so glad to see PM in his first National Day rally talk about Kallang, the Kallang dream, not just turning the space into a place for high performance training, but really rallying the spirit of Singaporeans, coming forward and creating a new pathway towards success in sports. And I thought that was wonderful. We built on that, having Kallang and our plans. But more importantly, I think, is the whole shift in mindset. The ability to tell people, tell kids, tell parents, hey, you do well in sports, this is going to be a true avenue for you.
Right.
Do you have a standout moment from this year so far?
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Great concerts here.
Yeah.
We had full house for the Singapore-Korea match at the stadium. That brought some goosebumps to us. Not the score though. But I think overall, what I perhaps, as I look back, am very happy about is our Disability Sports Masterplan, where we have built on the success of the past plan and turned disability sports into really a pathway for inclusion and participation. It's more than just a plan about sports or for sports. It's really about inclusivity in Singapore. And I thought that was something we worked on for quite a while. Engaged a lot of stakeholders, heard people from across the spectrum of different interest areas, understanding the landscape. It's diverse, it's difficult, but I think we've made a very good start with it. I can talk to you about it in a while, if you like.
But is that, the reason why it's so important to get behind this plan? Because of inclusivity?
Absolutely. I think we sometimes underestimate how difficult it can be for a young person especially, or someone who has perhaps later in life come into a disability, to feel that they are part of society, to feel that they are as one with the rest of us. Sometimes they navigate physical barriers and challenges. Other times it is about the sheer inconvenience and difficulties that they face as they try and surmount those obstacles and still make their way through, in many cases, towards high performance disability sport.
All right. Let's continue to talk to Minister Tong on the Big Show TV. Meantime, here's Sabrina Carpenter. Taste on Kiss 92.
Oh, I leave question.
All right, so
the
coffee has arrived. We're talking about, with Minister Edwin Tong, the Disability Sports Masterplan, DSMP 2024, recently announced. Is it just for the disability sports community?
Well, it starts with the disability community because obviously we want to hear from them what are some of the barriers that we can remove for them or lower. So it starts with them. It starts with encouraging the disability groups to come out, to play, to participate. I would say we have a good base. We built on something that was first launched in 2016. So it's encouraged more to come out. I don't know whether you know, but 2015 we had our first ASEAN Para Games that we hosted right here in SG50 year. And I thought that was something that gave it a spark. Told people that, hey, there is something known as Para Games, and there is something that we can do for our disability community in bringing them out of their homes, allowing them to feel that they're part of society. And I always remember some of our para-athletes telling me they didn't get into sport because they wanted to win medals or be on a podium. They got into sport because it was therapy. Whether it is our equestrians on the horses or our great swimmers in the pool, they all felt that this was a space, this was a platform. They gave them parity. And I thought that was such a powerful message. And so we wanted more participation, more of our disability community to feel that they can make their own way to the pool, to the gym, to take part in activities. So we've made all our pools, as many of them as possible, disability friendly, barrier free. Likewise, our gyms, we're going to be on target to do all our gyms barrier free shortly. But DSMP 2.0 builds on that by not just stopping at turning our venues into barrier-free places, but in creating programs for the community. It's one thing to be able to be at a pool safely without barriers, but it's another once you get there to realize that, hey, there might not be programs for me, right? I see all the kids in swim school, what does that do for me? So we've made our programs as well a key part of this DSMP 2.0. So what it means is we need coaches. We need people who know how to coach, train persons with disability. We need programs for them. We need them to be included in national school games. We want schools, able-bodied children, to be socialized to how it is, to experience how it is a person with disability might navigate sports. So we have a pretty ambitious plan. By 2028, we want all MOE schools to have at least one program which allows our able-bodied kids in school to experience what a person is like with disability taking part in a sport.
That is amazing.
So all of this is aimed not just at the disability community, but at really opening our eyes around society to realize that there are people amongst us who are not the same as us, but it is only because their disability is manifest. Our disability might well be hidden, and we are all the same. And I think if we can build on that, I think we'll have a more inclusive Singapore.
But in terms of coaches, Minister Tong, do we need coaches who are trained in this field to train, athletes with disabilities, or can we get some of our old great swimmers, for example, to come back and coach? Because I know someone like Ang Peng Siong, he helps some of the swimmers who are disabled as well.
Yes, Peng Siong is Wei Song's coach, amongst others,
right?
And he's done a great job. Ping Siu, before our current coach, Mark Che was her coach, ex-Olympian. So they have the ability to do so. But I think we want, especially at the younger age, as a person with disability is making his or her first dip in a pool, first foray, in equestrian and boccia, we want someone who's able to manage that person, manage not just physically but also emotionally, to guide that person along, to be able to look out for signs. In some cases, like Shaida, for example, our para archer, to design specialist equipment for her so that it allows her to be as stable as possible when she's taking her shot. So all of these are factors which sometimes as an able-bodied coach, you might not fully appreciate. So we want someone who's able to deal with that, trained in that, and then able to nurture and develop these athletes.
I've got to say, you are doing quite an amazing job on the whole, because I have a friend who's about to go through an amputation, and he has already been working with the weightlifting federation here, because he is so positive of mind that he says his dream now is to bring back a medal in the Para Games for Singapore in weightlifting, and he's been completely accepted into this group, and they are currently training him.
I'm so heartened to hear that. I think that's really what we want to see.
Yeah.
Some of these stories, I was at the Paralympics in Paris. To see Geraldine, who came back with a historic silver.
This is the boccia, right?
Boccia,
Yeah.
to navigate that. I mean, you just, if there's a video on YouTube, look out for it. She is so focused, but when she plays a great shot, you can see how she celebrates. That brief moment of raw emotion, of celebrating, of exhilaration, and just the sheer ecstasy of playing a great shot, that she knows that she's on her way to victory. You can see what it means to her, and I think we have to replicate as many of these moments as possible, because these are all uplifting moments. These are what keeps us together as one Singapore. When we look at her perform on that stage, it was that was really goosebumps.
Yeah, I mean, she was so overwhelmed, after it was done.
Yeah.
It was very, very heartening to see.
Absolutely, and to see the impact she's made on her family. I mean, her family was live streaming all the way to her. I saw her speak to her family. A whole family of like 30 gathered in one place to watch her. The impact she's made on the broader boccia community as well as the broader disability community. And I would say everyone, able-bodied or otherwise, celebrated that with her, and I think that is so unifying.
You want to try to play boccia?
Yeah, it would be interesting to try it, I've got to say.
Okay, let's go back on air.
Kiss 92 traffic.
Alrighty, let's take a look at it. You've got the usual delays across the expressways. That's not going to surprise you too much as you head out this morning. Areas to look out for are Ang Mo Kio Avenue 1 towards Ang Mo Kio Avenue 8. We have an accident after Bishan Road. Avoid the right lane. Please stay within the speed limit. Have everyone buckled up. Be safe as you drive today.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our guest for this morning is Minister for Culture, Community, Youth and Sports, Minister Edwin Tong. Thank you so much once again for joining us. And we've been talking about the Disability Sports Masterplan. Very, very heartening indeed. FD was talking about a relative of his who recently went for an amputation. And it's because of this initiative that gives, someone like FD's nephew the hope. And, the excitement of wanting to achieve despite his disability. And I think that's wonderful going forward.
And to be so readily accepted into that community, I think that is a major, major step forward when you're just naturally accepted into the community.
Yeah, FD, that's in part why part of DSMP is also focused on the schools. You see, our kids are not discriminatory when they first start in school. Sometimes, although when we look at them, we realize that perhaps there's an awkwardness. They don't know how to respond to someone with disability in the same way. So we think it's important to socialize this with our schools, with the kids. And so every MOE school, as far as possible, will have, quickly as possible by 2028, one sport that they get to experience. We want to embed this into our national school games. So it's part of our games curriculum for the kids in school. We want it to be as broad as possible. We have the intersped school games. We have training centers. We have accessible gyms as well as pools. We want people to feel that, it's natural, it's usual and normal for me, a person with disability, to be there. It's not a place that I have to make a special arrangement for.
Yeah, I think it needs to be part and parcel of normal everyday life.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to see real inclusivity.
Keep up the good work, Minister
Thanks,
Tong,
guys.
in this area.
I'm heartened to hear the experience of your nephew, and I hope that more Singaporeans get to experience that.
I think it's very, very important.
Okay, now let's talk about the other sports. I've been wanting to ask you this, Mr. Tong, because you were at the Olympic Games and all that. What sport do you think right now in Singapore do we have? Apart from Max, almost bringing home another gold. What other sport are we putting our money on right now that has the most potential?
Well, it's there are quite a few sports that I think it's hard and perhaps not fair to just put the money on one sport. I would say the whole idea behind Home of Team Singapore is to bring the top sports that we have, whether it's 20, 25, 30 sports, and put them in one space. And what's important with the Home of Team Singapore is we are aggregating our resources. So what I mean by that, there are some sports that are similar in nature. For example, all water sports.
Right.
Okay, not exactly the same, it's not fair, but there are similar qualities. All racket sports, badminton, table tennis, squash, the same kind of muscle sets. You look at it in the same way, the kind of theory behind coaching would be similar. The strength training and conditioning would be similar. The combat sports would be similar. Wrestling, judo, perhaps wushu, silat. All of these, again, the same kinds of qualities. So could we put them together and have a little bit of cross-sell, cross-training, and cross-pollination of ideas as well? So that's one thinking behind Home of Team Singapore. Today, these sports are, because we grew up quite disparately, they could be in different parts of Singapore. Not that Singapore is very big, but it does take time to come together, train and so on. So putting the sports all together, number one. Number two, bringing the high performance athletes into one space. You eat, you sleep, you train, all in one space. So having that concentration allows us to aggregate them and then bring them closer to their coaches and to sports science. That's the thinking behind Home of Team Singapore.
All right, let's continue to talk to Minister Tong on The Big Show TV. It's 8:19.
Kiss 92 Time Check brought to you.
Okay, FD.
So when we say bringing them together, we are talking about using. Are we talking about using say, Kallang as a hub for all of this?
Yeah. So the plans are like that, which are really exciting. You can see the beam on my face because as I speak about it, I'm so excited. You know where the current McDonald's is?
Yes.
So you know, right?
Yes.
So across the road is a big car park, tennis court, netball court.
Yeah.
That area is going to be turned into the home of Team Singapore. So a place which is dedicated for our national athletes. We are studying now how many we can put in, but as many as possible training facilities into that one space.
Yeah.
We will have accommodation facilities as well. So our athletes live there full time. They literally live, sleep, eat, wake up, train, do rehab, do physio,
Wow.
all in one space. Sports school will move there as well. So we'll support them academically right through their career. The NSAs will be part of that equation. Sports science, we are going to redouble our efforts on sports science. We think that the biggest mover of performance on the field of play is through sports science. How you condition, how you nurture, nutrition, how you sleep, how you rest, how you condition the body, how you recover from injury. What are some of the different styles of training that moves the needle? We saw how Shanti won her medals at SEA Games and at Asian Games. A lot of it was because her coach understood her, worked with the sports scientists and developed a program for her. We saw the same in Max as well, as he was a young boy growing up. We saw that in our para-athletes. I mentioned Shaida earlier, but others as well. So all of that, I think, is coming together, bringing that whole ecosystem into one space, literally. And we decided on Kallang, because Kallang has, for many years, represented the heartbeat of sports in Singapore.
Yeah.
And to create a space, home for athletes, an academy of sorts that they can call their own, they feel part of, they feel invested in, is something that I think changes the mindset and culture of a budding athlete in Singapore. That's the thinking behind Kallang.
FD, stop it. I know what you're thinking right now. He's thinking about his McDonald's and KFC. What's going to happen to his fast food restaurants?
He's looking
got many
bemused.
other restaurants.
Okay,
everywhere.
we'll find an empty space down on East Coast Parkway. We'll put them there. Not too far away. It's okay.
But that area is looking to be amazing.
That is just going to be an incredible
So does it mean we're
area.
going to be getting, because Singaporeans being Singaporeans, we're all hungry, right? We're all hungry for victory.
Yeah.
Hungry for cups and medals. But at this rate, I think in the next decade or so, we should be more ready.
We should be more ready. Fingers crossed. I mean, that's something that we are working towards. So it's, you mentioned McDonald's and so on. The idea is also to pedestrianize at least a part of that big road, the long wide road.
Yeah.
Right. It's a pretty wide road.
It is.
6 lanes on 3 lanes on each side. So pedestrianize it, turn it into a space with buzz, so that Singaporeans can feel also that there's a space for them. That there will be communal sports facilities. And the pedestrianized road will lead all the way down to the waterfront. There'll be activities at the waterfront as well. And then a new indoor stadium, 18,000-seater indoor stadium.
Have we seen a change? And this is only coming from a parent. Have we seen a change in the mindset of parents? Parents were always, for the longest time, academic first. Your sports it can wait. Have we seen a change in that mindset? Are we seeing a change?
I've been at my ministry for 4.5 years or so now, and I've seen that change. It's been very palpable, very, very visible. And I've got many athletes who come to me and say, look, I'm prepared to see if my kid can make it. What's the best way we can do that? How can we support them better? And I think that has also galvanized me, because it's my team and my ministry as well as at Sport SG, we are inspired by the aspirations of these young kids. We think that if they want to do it, they can do it. Then it is our job to make sure that we build the best platform for them to push on. And we see the home of Team Singapore as being that big platform. But yeah, FD, I see many more parents prepared to see what they can do. In some cases, homeschool the kids so that they can train overseas. In other cases, invest in overseas training. And we want to support as much of them as possible. Right. One thing that's always been a struggle for kids in Singapore and the parents, as you mentioned, is the studies versus sports bifurcation. It's always a tension, right? So recently we announced a scholarship which allowed our athletes to choose. Specs Education Scholarship allows our athletes to decide, do I want to be training and competing at the top level whilst at the same time pursuing my university education? If so, and they're good enough, we will put them on a scholarship so that they can do that. But many of our athletes, if you look at someone like Isaac, for example, or even Jessica, who's our doubles player in badminton, they gave up a lot of their education opportunities at the age when most of us would have gone to university at 2021 or so, and went full-time into their sport. Now, as they retire, they will ask themselves, what can I then do? What can I transition into? So our Specs Education Scholarship also allows an athlete to decide, I'm going to put my studies on the back burner, I'm going to train and compete full-time, but when I finish, I want to pick up on my educational career. And the scholarship also allows them to be put on this scholarship for a educational course after they have retired. So that we can allow them to have peace of mind. You want to train and compete full-time, you know that this will wait for you at the end of your career, and we will help you transition into your next phase of life.
That's very interesting.
Okay. All right, let's put sports aside. Let's start talking about the concerts, okay? On air.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Stand by.
I see this glint in his eye.
Cheyenne and Ash and Brian, they also want to hear a little bit more about concerts and maybe what's coming up, So, stand by.
Kiss 92 traffic.
You've got the usual delays across the expressways. No big surprise there at this point in time. People are making their way off to work. Look out for the AYE towards the MCE, a vehicle broken down before Jurong Town Hall exit. The TPE towards the PIE, a vehicle broken down after Punggol Road exit as well. And remember, on Ang Mo Kio Avenue 1 towards Avenue 8, an accident after Bishan Road. Stay within the speed limit, please. Have everyone buckled up. Be safe as you drive today.
Good morning and welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. We've been speaking to our Minister for Culture, Community, Youth and Sports, Minister Edwin Tong. We've covered quite a lot in terms of sports. Let's talk a little bit about Taylor Swift right now, because I think in terms of how mega that concert was, it was just absolutely mind-blowing. It was the talk of everyone, not just here in Singapore, but around the region and perhaps maybe even around the world as well. You were very much credited, for that mega concert that we staged here in Singapore. How was that experience, Minister Tong?
It's still surreal for me. More than a year ago now, I remember being in LA, meeting with her crew and a manager. I've never met her, by the way. I've never seen her. I've never spoken with her. I've never seen her. And they're very professional in dealing with it. And we wanted to be the same. So we met with them and hatched the idea of having her come to Singapore. That was a dream in itself. But to then be able to conclude a deal that brought her here for 6 nights across 2 weeks was just phenomenal. And I'm so glad to see the impact it has on the many fans, Singaporeans. And it's trickle-down impact as well on the notion that Singapore is a good place to do business, you feel safe, but it's not quite fun. I think we're trying to use the Sports Hub to also break that myth and to try and inject a bit of fun quotient into Singapore.
Yeah, we've never seen anything like that before.
No,
6
never.
nights,
Yeah.
Packed stadium. What were some of the other highlights in terms of concerts for you, Mr.
Well,
Tong?
this year we had a good year in concerts. We had Bruno Mars here as well. We had Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran, I think, if I'm not wrong, because of his stage configuration, managed to clock or hold the record for the most number of participants or spectators in the show, in the stadium for one night. I think he exceeded 60,000 because of the configuration of his stage.
Right.
He had an all-round stage. So that was quite a highlight. We had Coldplay here, of course. Coldplay was phenomenal. They're always great on stage. We had a bit of a hiatus because we had thought about using the Sports Hub, the stadium, for the National Day Parade. But eventually the organisers decided it's better off at the Padang. And so we had a bit of a hiatus in the latter half of this year. But we are having some plans for next year as we resume. Especially it's SG60 as well.
Right.
Not to put you on the spot.
We've
but
got some plans here at Kiss 92 as well for a concert as well. I think maybe I can get my boss to speak to you one of these days.
I think you should.
Yeah, because we'd love to use one of our venues. and we're confident that we'll be able to pack out, well, it's either the Singapore Indoor Stadium or the Sports Hub.
The Sports Hub.
But I'm very, very excited about that, and I think it'll be good, to share that idea with you first before we let anyone else know about it.
Sure.
Okay, we're not going to put you on the spot, but if you could invite any artist to Singapore to hold a concert, who would it be?
Well, I will speak as a fan.
Okay, yeah, of course.
And I'll tell you. I mean, the one band that I saw here many years ago, which I wish would be back here again, would be Depeche Mode. I think they are a great band. The longevity, the evolution of their music has been phenomenal, and the latest album that they're touring with is a great album. And actually, they're a great band to watch live. I saw them, and they were here in Singapore, I think last in 1990, I think it was.
Yeah, a long time ago.
It's 1990. So it's a long time ago. And 34 years ago to be precise, right?
Yeah.
And I remember that night that they came was the night before my final exams in the university.
Okay.
And so there was a real dilemma. I mean, should I get the cheap seats or the expensive seats?
So it wasn't study or go.
Should I blow all my savings and allowance on getting good seats, or should I just keep them? But it was never not even an issue.
Yeah, of course.
Myself and many of my friends from school, we were at the indoor stadium. That was a magical night. So I hope they will come back again.
Yeah, and when they were on stage singing Somebody, goosebumps.
Everything, enjoy the silence, goosebumps.
Yeah.
Around that time, I mean, Singapore Indoor Stadium was the venue for concerts, and I remember it was also in the 90s, and I had that dilemma as well. Should I buy expensive tickets or cheap tickets to Elton John? His Sacrifice tour at that time, and I bought the cheap tickets. I sat behind the stage, but it was amazing.
Yeah, I think these are moments that we hope to recreate in the new indoor stadium. And the plans are really to look at what we can do to turn it into a really state-of-the-art venue that performers would want to be in. And nowadays, with Spotify, with the digitalization of music, many of the artists need to tour. So we will see many of them coming into Asia, because the American and the European tour circuit is pretty saturated. There are lots of dates there, but there's a lot of headroom to grow into in Asia, North Asia especially, as well as Southeast Asia. So we are working on a couple of acts that might come in the next 1-2 years.
And I think you guys have really proved how good Singapore is at being a hub, because I mean, you proved it with Taylor Swift. I mean, the number of people we had fly into Singapore for that. It works because we are so central.
And I'm proud of the fact that our people managed to get people in safely, out safely, enjoyed the experience, and home in no time.
That in itself was so perfectly planned, and everything was so organized.
Really, really good stuff.
It took a lot of planning, right, Minister?
It took a lot of planning, and we prior to the concert, because first time we're staging concert of such scale, and it's not just the 60,000 in the stadium. There were another 15-20,000 outside the stadium.
Yeah.
The so-called Cat 100, and they were magical. I mean, they were fantastic fans out there, right? But we wanted their experience to also be safe and to be an enjoyable one. So we had a team from Kallang Alive that went round the world to see the other Taylor Swift concerts, to understand the way in which fans behave, to see what were some of the infrastructure changes that other venues made to the stadium. And we replicated some of them here in a way in which we could digest the crowd. How do we ensure that they were safe? Because fans came 3 hours, 4 hours before the doors opened. So we had events for them, we had activities for them, we had a DJ outside.
Yeah.
So all of that allowed it to be safe and enjoyable.
We saw that all on social media. You were one of the busiest people during that period.
It was great just walking around and just soaking in the vibe. It's not quite my era, but it sort of grew on me over time.
We were talking to Yumiko the other day because she was on the show in for Angel, and I told her, I said, you'll be coming in today, and she said, please say hi to Minister Tong for me. We exchanged Taylor Swift bracelets.
We did. She was so fun. I think she was very excited with the concert as well.
Yeah, she was.
She's wonderful. Okay, we would love to keep you on the show, but we know you've got a very, very busy day ahead of you. But before we let you go, Minister Tong, would you like to perhaps maybe play a song for our Kiss 92 listeners? Maybe just pick any song. We'll get Cheyenne to put it in to the system.
Well, Glenn, I think you as well, we grew up in school in the 80s. The 80s was when I learned about music, I understood music, so that era was really struck a chord with me, right? So one of my favorite songs, in fact, not just in the 80s, of all time, is by The Police, Every Breath You Take. Wonderful song.
It is.
Most people think it's a love song. It's actually not a love song. It's a song about a jilted, rejected lover who is possessively, obsessively stalking his ex-girlfriend, I think it was. So if you listen to the lyrics in that vein, you'll see that that's what it means. And I think Sting is a wonderful songwriter. He is brilliant, tune-wise, but actually quite a maestro when it comes to lyrics. So if you listen to many of his songs, whether as The Police or as part of his solo career, I think his songwriting is really second to none. So that would be my pick.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tong, for joining us today. Always a pleasure, and we hope you'll come back on the show.
Great. Thank you. I
very
always
soon.
enjoy chatting with you guys. Thank you very
All
much
right.
for having me.
All the best. Here's The Police with Every Breath You Take on Kiss 92.